Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Line. We've got a few stories to take a look at today. It's been a while, I know, but we're going to get into this first story from the BBC. England is at it again. The entire empire of the United Kingdom has fallen, and I think it's about time America and maybe Australia join in and we invade. We need to conquer England, get them back their country, get them back their rights, and I know it might seem a bit brash, but after we've taken them, we can possibly take Canada, and just lend a hand to all these countries that have just fallen under their version of socialist dictatorship. Basically, that's what they're doing. It's turned into a dictatorship. The BBC has a story here. You've probably seen it on the news. They have been arresting people for online posts for quite a while now. They arrest more people in the UK for saying things online, including jokes and just posting photos of the Union Jack and the flag at the moment. But they've been arresting more people than Russia. So it's all downhill from there. We've also got to have a look at the former Victorian Premier Dan Andrews. We all know him. We all love him, don't we? I bet the Victorians miss him. He was spotted rubbing shoulders with none other than Kim Jong-il, or Kim Jong-un, whatever it is now, Vladimir Putin, and Xi Jinping. Not to mention the Iranian Prime Minister or President or whatever he is over there. What is he doing over there? Why is he rubbing shoulders with those kind of people? I think we all know it's because he is his own little tin pot dictator from Victoria, and he's missing out on he's missing stepping on the throats of Victorian people, and he just had to go and get his little fix with the military parade. And we're also going to have a look at a few other things, but we're going to have a look at this story here first. The BBC: online speech laws need to be reviewed after Lyon West Street says streeting. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said the ministers need to look at laws concerning online speech following the arrest of comedian Graham Linehan. The Health Secretary said such laws had put more expectation on police and diluted focus priorities on the public, adding that it's obviously something we need to look at. Streeting told the BBC it was very easy for people to criticise police who were the only enforcing the law that had been passed by the MPs, saying ministers wanted officers to focus on street crime rather than posts on social media. How about you go and look at the mass amount of stabbings that you have over there, the terrorist attacks, the other things like incest, the massive amount of incest that's happening in a certain population in the UK there. But no, we're going to go and arrest comedians for saying something online that you don't agree with. His comments come after Father Ted co-creator. Father Ted's quite a funny British TV show. It's not really up my alley. It's a bit too vanilla, but you've probably seen it on telly. He was arrested at Heathrow Airport on suspicion of inciting violence in posts on X. The arrest prompted backlash from figures such as J.K. Rowling, an opposition party leader, including Conservatives, who branded the arrest an absurd infringement on free speech. In a statement, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley said officers involved in the arrest had reasonable grounds to believe an offence had been committed under a Law of Public Order Act. Sir Mark said reasonable people would agree the genuine threat of physical violence against an identified person or group should be acted upon by officers. But the police chief said lesser causes policing has been left between a rock and a hard place by successive governments, he said. I don't believe we should be policing toxic culture war debates, and officers are currently in an impossible position. Well, you're not, because you don't actually have to send your officers out to arrest people for making a joke online. You don't actually have to send them out like jackbooted brown shirts to go and beat people into submission for saying something that you don't like. You don't have to drag little old men and little old ladies out of their homes for posting about how they want to, possibly go to a protest, or they disagree with certain flags being flown, or they agree with their own flag being thrown. You don't have to waste taxpayer money on that. You just tell them you're literally in charge. When asked about Linen's arrest, Prime Minister questions, Sir Keir Starmer said, we ensure police focus on the most serious issues. Oh, totally. That's what you're doing there. That includes tackling issues of antisocial behaviour, knife crime and violence, the Prime Minister said. We have a long history of free speech in this country, and I'm very proud of that, not always defend it. No, Keir Starmer is lying out of his rear end. Like, He is one of the reasons they are going around arresting old women and men for posting something patriotic on their Facebook or saying something that could be construed as a joke or could be, possibly racist or whatever, anti-Semitic or whatever, saying it online. It's not even that bad. Like, people are literally getting arrested for hanging flags in the UK. Hanging the English flag, hanging the Union Jack, they're getting arrested for it. It's insanity, and his freedom of speech, is freedom of the only speech that he wants, and that's praising Hamas, praising terrorist organizations, and anyone who goes against that, they're not on their side, so they're on the chopping block. When asked about this Linen's case on the BBC programme, Streeting echoed those words. As the Prime Minister and Home Secretary said, we were have been very clear. We are the police to focus on policing streets rather than tweets, the Health Secretary said. But one thing we are mindful of as a government that backs the police to keep us safe, the police are there to enforce the laws we as a parliament legislate for. So if over the years, with good intentions, Parliament has layered more and more expectation on police and diluted the focus of priorities of the public, that's obviously something we need to look at. No shit, Sherlock. Pressed on whether the law should be changed, Streeting said, when it comes to speech, context is king. We do have to, as legislators, tread carefully when it comes to boundaries of free speech. There should be very minimum, if no boundaries on freedom of speech, like inciting violence. Yeah, maybe don't say that. Even then, like, honestly, if having complete and utter free speech, no matter what it is, you can't get in trouble for. If that's what we have to have just to have any form of free speech, then so be it. Whether it's calling, for the death of people or, yelling fire in a crowded theatre is a good, talking point there. But I think it should pretty much all be, on the table. We should be allowed to say what we want without fear of repercussions from the government, of fear of the police kicking down your door. And I don't think we're ever going to get back to it here in Australia. I don't think England's ever going to get back to it unless they have some drastic change. And those drastic changes, like when Donald Trump took the presidency in the US, even then, not much has changed. Like, they like to hold him as some massive totalitarian dictator. He's doing all these things. Even the MAGA Trump supporters like to say he's doing all this, but at the end of the day, they are losing their rights in the US every single day still, and not much has changed since he's come in. Like, that, there are some good things and there are some bad things, I suppose, but at the end of the day, it's still, the United States that everyone's been watching for the last however long. It's freedom of speech. You still have it in some places and you don't have it in some places. There's always going to be like that across the world, I'd say. But we're marching steadily forward towards what the UK is doing in Australia. We are getting police knocking on people's doors. We're getting in trouble for going to a protest for our country. It was an anti-immigration protest. They said it was, run by Nazis and all these bigots, and it wasn't. The only place Nazis turned up was Melbourne, and 90% of them are police officers' sons. And, whether that's a government psyop or the Australian, government is just putting them in there to make everyone look bad, which is what I reckon. We're getting branded as extremists for just wanting to say that we want Australia to have less immigration. It's not even, a lot of people aren't even saying we want to get rid of all immigration, because you need some. We just want less of it so we can catch up and build homes. And we'll get into another story about that shortly. Mr. Lyman, 57, said he detained by five armed officers at Heathrow Airport after flying in from the US. He said in an online Substack article that officials had become concerned for his health and took him to hospital. The Metropolitan Police said the man who's 50 had been arrested on 1st of September at Heathrow Airport and taken to hospital. The police said his condition was not life-threatening, but he was bailed pending further investigation. In his Substack article, Mr. Lyman said his arrest was related to 3 posts on X from April. The first post from his X feed said, if trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Yes, correct. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. it's a joke, and fucking hell, man, getting arrested for that. Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch was critical of the arrest, saying sending 5 police officers to arrest a man for a tweet isn't policing, it's politics. And the Labor will routinely see burglary, knife crime, and assaults go unsolved while resources are wasted on thought policing. But now Green Party leader Zach Polanski told BBC Newsnight the posts were totally unacceptable and the arrest seemed proportionate. Imagine that. Imagine making a joke on Twitter and the police come and arrest you at the airport. 5 armed police officers drag you off. So Max Hill, the former director of public prosecutions from England and Wales, said the police are using various laws such as Public Order Act to prosecute people accused of breaking the law through their speech. So Max said people can be prosecuted for inciting violence. If you don't have that mechanism, then I'm afraid Chaos and Susie said it's possible to cross over into criminality by words alone. Shami Chakrabarti, it's definitely an English name, a Labor peer and former director of the Liberty Civil Liberties Group, said the public order statute book and speech offences in particular do not need an overarching review. They need to be torn up. They absolutely need to be torn up. If people want to burn books, start with that one. She said some offences related to alarm and distress were too broad, but inciting violence must always be a criminal offence, Baroness Chakrabarti added. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, good old Nigel, is expected to raise a line in case and rail against censorship in the UK. He has given evidence to the House Judiciary Committee into the US free speech on Wednesday. Senior American politicians, including US Vice President J.D. Vance, have raised concerns about freedom of speech in the UK and prosecutions over comments posted online. Since coming into the office this year, US Vice President has repeatedly criticised measures like the UK's Online Safety Act and claimed free speech in Europe was in retreat. The case of Lucy Connolly, who was jailed for stirring out racial hatred against asylum seekers following the Southport attack last year, has been highlighted by some politicians in the debate about free speech in the UK. Separately, Mr. Linen is also facing a separate charge of harassment, which he denies and is due to appear at court on Tuesday. So he made a few off-colour remarks on Twitter whilst he was in the US, and the UK government deems it necessary to throw him in jail, arrest him and charge him for inciting violence for saying he's going to punch a trans person in the balls if they're in the wrong bathroom, That's insane. I don't know about you, but Australia's goose-stepping their way there. We're seeing a lot of the same online safety acts come in. I mean, the government is banning social media for kids in less than 100 days. That comes into effect, which is going in turn to force every single person in Australia to register their photo ID, government ID, online with various social media companies from X to YouTube, which they said they weren't banning for kids, but they are now, and things like that. So you can even log on and use your own social media. So we're all going to have to sign up with our government IDs because, all these companies like Twitter and YouTube, Google, those kind of things, they don't have all of our information already, but, giving them hard copies of our licenses and, public IDs or governmental IDs, I'm sure they're going to, just take care of it and not, abscond with it or get it stolen by online hackers or anything like that. We have a look at this as well. The UK's free speech crackdown sees up to 30 people a day arrested for petty offences such as retweets and cartoons. It just closed down. The other half of my brain went into Jack Reacher mode. She said, referring to the fictional action hero, every single detail was a very, very bright, sharp focus. Remember noticing you can't drain yourself in a toilet because there's no standing water in it. And flush button is far too rich for your head in the bowl. I don't know what the fuck that is about. Instead, horrified the fog, deeply tragic, and she reposted X users and other content blaming newly arrived migrants for the ghastly crime. Clarifying in her tweet, if this is true, hours later she may have received bad information and deleted the post, but has already been seen thousands of times. Murder has resulted in widespread civil unrest in the UK, where mass migration is an essential issue for citizens. 4 police vehicles arrived at a home later that day. Slapworth, 56, was successfully a businesswoman from Chester who was placed under arrest. We're a year on now, and I can honestly tell you that I don't think I will ever recover, she told the Post. I don't think that I am as a victim. Those poor children were victims, but I'll never trust anything the authorities say to me ever again. What she's referencing there is the horrid attack on a young girl's Taylor Swift dance party where a young migrant's kid Axel Rudakabana went into that building with a large knife and stabbed, I think, 12 little girls, and I believe he killed 4 of them, if memory serves. And obviously that upset a lot of people, and it's upset the entire country. I mean, I've got a little girl, it upset me to think that someone like that could just, you know, be protected by the government at the end of it as well. It's insane. And obviously people are going to be upset by that. I mean, if anything ever happened at a mosque like that, I'm sure the entire Muslim community would be up in arms about it, rightfully so. And anytime it seems in the UK that white people get upset, Christians get upset, you know, not the minority group, or they're about to be a minority group, you know, they get railroaded by the government and called racists and extremists and things like that. And it's distressing to see like these people get dragged out of their homes for retweeting a comment or a cartoon, you know. I mean, Maxie Allen, a radio producer for Hertfordshire, was on Zoom and call at home when the police standing over his shoulder with a camera on view. 6 officers came knocking. Partner Rosalind Levine, who answered the door, thought their disabled daughter had died to haul the but they were there to haul the couple off over comments they posted on a private WhatsApp group of parents with their at their children's school. In the chat, the couple had repeatedly been critical of the public school's slow pace to recruit a replacement head teacher. It's shaken the faith in the country I thought I lived in. You know, private messages between family and friends and, you know, like parents groups here are being given to the police so that they can go and arrest them. Or I don't know whether they've been given to by someone or whether the government's just seeing these posts through some sort of back door. And they're going and arresting these people that haven't done anything wrong. And they're dragging them off and charging with some stupid laws that should be abolished because they might offend someone. This is like the V for Vendetta movie. It's like they were dead on. Like that is where England is now. It's shocking. And Australia's well on their way to be doing the same thing. I don't know about you, but it's terrifying that we're raising kids in this, and I don't see it really getting, you know, pulled back or stopped or slowed down. Even we've got some good people in England there, like Nigel Farage, trying to stop things like that. In Australia, we've got Pauline Hanson, Gerard Rennick, people like that. It's not enough voices, and they've got a massive movement behind them. Like in Germany, the AfD, they've got a massive movement there, but obviously the AfD are a bunch of Nazis. I mean, they're getting killed off at the moment. There's 7 or 8 of them running for government, and 7 or 8 of the same party have been killed or died mysteriously. We might even have a look at that later. And like the right, or the people who want freedom of speech and things like that, it's not even right-wing people, just everyday people. We're getting chastised by the government. We're getting arrested. We're getting thrown in jail. We're getting fined for saying that something that they don't like all over the world. It's the entire government apparatus is aimed directly at people like us, people like you watching this program, probably, because we have opinions that they don't agree with. What do you guys think anyway? Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.